It is the question we didn't want to ask and never thought we would have to, but it is, unfortunately, one that is on the back of everyone's minds. What is the future of Black Panther without Chadwick Boseman? After the news emerged that Chadwick Boseman tragically passed away at the age of 43 after a 4-year battle with cancer, the world was at a loss. Chadwick's portrayal as King T'Challa, aka Black Panther, has been legendary, with him becoming a hero on screen and off of it.
We must find a way to look after one another.
And the character has inspired and given joy to countless amounts of people all across the globe. The impact of Black Panther and his solo movie in 2018 is immeasurable, with the movie shattering records and being both a critical and commercial success. A big part of the success of both the character and the movie is the superb performance provided by Chadwick, and King T'Challa will always live on in our memory. Sadly though, the future of both Black Panther and the MCU will no longer include Chadwick. A thought which feels almost impossible to imagine. In this video, we will discuss the future of the character, what Boseman's passing means for the franchise, the global impact the character has had, and the ways that Marvel can treat the character in a respectable and fitting way. One that will honor Chadwick and all he did for not only the superhero genre, but the world as a whole. Hail to the King!
Wakanda forever! Wakanda forever!
Marvel announced a host of new movies scheduled for Phase 4, one of them being the sequel to the immensely popular 2018 movie Black Panther. The sequel, which is slated to be released in 2022, although that will probably change, was to return to the African country of Wakanda and the character of Black Panther, with the original cast returning along with director Ryan Coogler and, of course, Chadwick Boseman. While Marvel are yet to announce the plot details for the sequel, MCU chief Kevin Feige did reveal that the movie would look into the history of Wakanda and the role of the Black Panther, looking at the hero's roots and the rich culture of the country. It is fair to ostensibly believe that T'Challa would play a big part of that story, especially after the events of the first Black Panther and, of course, Avengers Endgame, although it is unclear in what kind of capacity. But the sequel movie isn't the only plans for Black Panther in the MCU, with the creative team at Marvel seeing Black Panther as an integral part of the MCU moving forward. Some fans have even speculated that Black Panther could be the key to introducing Namor and the Fantastic Four into the MCU. But without their king to play him, Marvel are almost certainly going to have to replan their future and decide what Chadwick's passing means for Black Panther. It's still too early to know what the right thing to do is, and to think about the future without Chadwick is an extremely unpleasant thought. But realistically, what can Marvel do with the character? First and foremost, they can retire the character indefinitely. Without Chadwick to play him, they can give the character a respectful and fitting tribute and leave Black Panther to rest in peace. It is highly unlikely that Marvel will not address the void left by Chadwick on screen, and giving him a send-off in the same vein as Iron Man and Captain America could be the ideal move. As we mentioned before, it is hard to imagine a Black Panther without Chadwick, who has almost certainly been the perfect man for the role. And while it will be a bitter pill to swallow, retiring the character may be the best option from the point of view of the fans. That being said, another point we've mentioned is the immense popularity of the character and what Black Panther has done on a cultural and symbolic level. Not only has it been a financial success, but one of progress, and the character's become a crucial icon in the zeitgeist.
Wakanda forever!
So, is the character too important to hang up the vibranium claws? Marvel may see it this way and seek to keep the character going. One way they could do this is by simply recasting the role. Marvel is no stranger to this. For example, replacing Ed Norton's Bruce Banner with Mark Ruffalo after the actor did not want to continue the role. But these are very different circumstances, and Chadwick and Black Panther are more intertwined than almost every character in the MCU. Besides, a number of fans have vehemently told Marvel that they refuse to see anyone else as their king, stating that they will not accept the part being recast, and rightly so. To be fair to Marvel, there has been no indication that they are planning or even considering recasting the role, and we'd like to put our faith in them that they do not plan to dishonor Chadwick's legacy, especially after they voiced an emotional statement after the actor's passing. Besides, would Coogler and the rest of the cast be comfortable working with someone who isn't Chadwick? It's hard to say. But what if Marvel both retired T'Challa but kept the character of Black Panther alive? As we know, T'Challa isn't the only one to don the name Black Panther, as T'Challa inherited the role as well as the Kingdom of Wakanda from T'Chaka after his death in Captain America Civil War. So, could Marvel pass on the mantle of Black Panther to a potential successor? While there aren't any obvious heirs to the role, there are some potential candidates. Firstly, Marvel could go to a new character to fill the void, and one who has also gone by the moniker Black Panther. That character could be Kevin Casper Cole, a multiracial New York police officer who at one point went by the name Black Panther. In the comics, Cole was brought in as a fake Black Panther, one who masquerades as the role until he eventually embraces the culture and heritage of the Black Panther. Eventually, Cole in the comics drops the title before gaining the new one of White Tiger and becomes an ally of T'Challa. Therefore, Cole could be brought in as either Black Panther or as a Black Panther stand-in, becoming his own hero, White Tiger. But the character arguably doesn't have the same popularity as T'Challa, and fans could be offended by bringing in a new hero to replace him. That being said, could an existing member of the MCU take up the role? For instance, fellow Wakandan and T'Challa's sister, Shuri?
My king.
Stop it. Stop it.
Shuri is a member of the monarchy and, like Cole, also holds the title of Black Panther, as well as leadership of Wakanda at some point in the comic books. It certainly makes sense for Marvel to keep the role in the family, and Shuri has shown that she has extraordinary skills in her own right, acting as T'Challa's version of James Bond's Q. She is extremely intelligent, knows the technology and people of Wakanda inside out, and certainly isn't lacking for bravery. But as you know, the mantle of Black Panther isn't given to you on a silver plate, and you have to fight for the position without the use of powers to prove that you are worthy to wear the armor. This could work to Shuri's disadvantage, seeing as there are potentially those with better fighting skills out there. But it is unclear if anyone would in fact challenge her authority. Another character who could potentially take up the role is the expert fighter and T'Challa's trusted associate, Okoye. We have no doubts that Okoye is a certified badass, and she is a highly trained fighter and general of the Dora Milaje, and is extremely loyal and devoted to the throne of Wakanda. And while a majority of the Wakandans, including T'Challa, were snapped away by Thanos in Infinity War, Okoye was still an active member of the Avengers. It is unclear who was running Wakanda in T'Challa and Shuri's absence, and it makes us wonder if that person was Okoye. If so, she would therefore have experience in both running the country as well as working with the Avengers. There are also a few characters who could potentially fill the void, although they are more of a stretch. One of which is Winston Duke's M'Baku, who initially challenged T'Challa for the role of Black Panther, but was ultimately bested in combat. We know M'Baku wanted the title, and he certainly has the size and strength to be a formidable Black Panther. And he later became an ally to T'Challa after his power struggle with Michael B. Jordan's Killmonger. However, it is a stretch to imagine Marvel giving the mantle to M'Baku. Speaking of stretches, and Michael B. Jordan, could Killmonger be a surprise outlier?
The challenge for the mantles of King and Black Panther.
Rumors began to circle in 2018 that despite the character's death, Killmonger would make a return in the sequel in some shape or form. If he did, could he go on some redemption arc and become the Black Panther? He did briefly hold the title after beating T'Challa until T'Challa reclaimed the throne and killed him. As we said though, this is a stretch, and it feels way too early for Marvel to replace T'Challa as Black Panther at all. So what other options does that leave? If Marvel doesn't decide to continue the character of Black Panther in the present, then they may look back to the past. As we mentioned, T'Challa inherited the kingdom and mantle from his father T'Chaka, and we briefly saw T'Chaka as Black Panther in the prologue of the 2018 movie. Could the new Black Panther therefore be a prequel and focus on the story of T'Chaka's days as Black Panther? While this doesn't solve Marvel's plans for the character going forward, this could be the best of both worlds. Having another Black Panther movie but still doing the character of T'Challa justice. It would also fall in line with Marvel's plans to revisit the history of Black Panther and Wakanda, and also delve deeper into the mythology of the ancestral plane. Another possible route Marvel could go with is removing the character of Black Panther entirely and focusing on Wakanda and Wakandans as a whole. For instance, we do not know much about what happened to Wakanda in the absence of T'Challa and Shuri. So could they do a movie that focuses on Wakanda in that time? Potentially, but they may struggle for content. Another possibility is that they focus on Okoye, Shuri, or M'Baku, but not as Black Panther, instead focusing on them as their own heroes, separate from T'Challa and Chadwick's legacy. For now though, this is all conjecture. The wound is still way too fresh, and we, along with the world, still continue to mourn the loss of an irreplaceable superstar. Whatever route Marvel decides to go with, the shadow of Chadwick will continue to hang over the character, and his charm, acting, and on-screen presence will be sorely missed. Black Panther is a huge part of culture and society, a symbol of progress in Hollywood, as well as being an awesome and lovable character. One we so desperately want to keep going, but can it and should it continue without Chadwick? Would Chadwick want the role to continue without him? That's unclear. All we do know is that Marvel will have to get it right, and it is paramount that whatever their decision may be, it has to be respectful to his family, his co-stars, the fans, and most importantly, the man who brought the character of Black Panther to life, Chadwick Boseman. So, what do you think Marvel should do with the character? What does Chadwick's role as Black Panther mean to you? Let us know in the comments below, and please share your favorite Black Panther moments and Chadwick moments in general as we continue to mourn the loss of a legend.